Hi everybody, welcome to Amy Nolte Music. I'm sure you've seen videos of YouTubers, hopefully not your favorite YouTubers, saying that they're quitting YouTube for one reason or another. And I'd like to tell you about the reason why I'm sticking around, why I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I started YouTube back in 2016 on a dare from my friend Rick Beato. He told me that if I could make one video a day for 6 months, he thought I would be successful. It's not really in my nature to commit to a hard thing like that and see it through, but somehow I did it, and he was right because after 6 months, I had 10,000 subscribers. Now, Rick's channel has exploded far more than mine has and probably ever will. But back in those early days, and even occasionally now, he and I will talk and compare notes about what works and what doesn't work. And it didn't take me long to realize that the money I was making from YouTube alone wasn't going to be enough. So I decided, after reading comments, that in a lot of videos I was making, like music instructional videos, that people really wanted worksheets. In the comments, it would be like, where's the sheet? Like, is there a PDF? So that's when I decided to make my PDF shop on my website. Sometimes with an instructional music video, I would say there's a PDF that goes along with this video and sell it for $5 on my website. I still do that, and that was helpful. That helped me to generate about $50 a day, give or take, on top of what I was making from YouTube. And I'll share the following information because it's like public, you could look it up. But my average for YouTube since I started is probably around $1,000 a month. And even though that's something, it wasn't enough. Even with my PDF income, I mean, I was helping now, like in my family finances more than I ever had before, which felt good, but it wasn't cutting it. Of course, I still had some gigs and I would pick up students to teach here and there. When the pandemic hit in 2020, a cool thing happened. A couple of my YouTuber friends suggested my name to a company called Nebula. The CEO, Dave, called me up and we had a long conversation on the phone about how Nebula could potentially help me as an online video creator. Now, the first thing he did was we took a close look at my channel and he started telling me why some of my videos had done better than others, why some of them bombed. He started telling me about the importance of having a good title and a good thumbnail, because if you don't, nobody will ever click. We started brainstorming about ideas to grow my audience. And he told me that if I were to join Nebula, amongst other things, I would be joining a conversation, a constant ongoing conversation with every creator on Nebula. And if I had any questions about it, would this title work? Is this a good thumbnail? Do you think this is a good idea for a video? Well, there's a Slack channel, and all the time, the Nebula creators are helping each other with things like that. Now, that sounded good to me because I've always just been on my own here. At the time that I joined, there were about 130 creators on Nebula, I think, and there are maybe nearly 200 today, and this continues to be a great help to me to have other people doing just what I'm doing to bounce ideas off of and give me advice. He also explained that Nebula would work as a sponsorship management company for me, so that when I make a YouTube video, they would get me a sponsor. You've seen me do it. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. This video is sponsored by NordVPN. Nebula sets those up for me so that if I do a short ad read at the end of any video, they pay me. The sponsor pays me right up front for my video. Now, just to give you an idea, I have a video about John Lennon that I put out like a year ago on YouTube, and for me, it did pretty well. It has 200,000 views. In that time, the video has made me $564 in Google Ads. That's it. So this is how it used to be for me from YouTube. I would have to wait a really long time for videos to bring me any kind of substantial money. But with Nebula, if I can get a sponsor read, I make, almost maybe 3 times that much right off the bat. Depends, but money right off the bat for making a YouTube video, huge for me. And ever since I said yes to Nebula, I've done at least 2 sponsor ads per month. And all of a sudden, I'm a walking model of what Nebula's mission is, which is to make the middle-sized creator able to make a comfortable living. For me, maybe my favorite thing about YouTube has been that anytime I have any idea about music, I have a place to, put those ideas to pen, so to speak. It used to be that I would just have all these ideas swimming around in my head, just taking up space. I'd talk to myself about them. But now I can talk to you about them, and you can talk back to me. And that's really fun for me to be able to put my ideas out there and see what happens. At different points in my life, I've taken jazz piano students, and I've found that is actually really emotionally draining for me. It's kind of too much on me, and I do a lot better if I can take the things that I would teach somebody and just put them out as a YouTube video. For me, it makes my emotional health a lot better. Now, since I joined Nebula, every time I make a video I put on YouTube, I also put that video on Nebula. And in many, many cases, I'll put a short cut of the video on YouTube and an extended cut of the video on Nebula. I also put bonus videos on Nebula that will never be on YouTube. And what I'm most proud of is that Nebula has flown me out a couple of times to make classes, full-length internet courses that they produce for me in their studio. I've got 4 classes now. Everything I know about chords, part 1 and part 2, and a class that took me years to formulate about how to create meaningful motifs for jazz soloing without relying on scales or arpeggios. And while I was there, I shot one more really fun class with my friend Adam Neely about the blues. So if I have an idea that I think would do well as a class, Nebula is going to make it happen for me. And they're going to pay me up front to do it nicely. And then they're going to sponsor me on my videos to ask people to sign up for Nebula so that they can come see these classes that I produce. So not only do I make the money up front from making a class, they continue to support me with sponsorships on my videos. The idea is that if I put my very most special content on Nebula, people will want to support me there. The newest thing that Nebula has done for me is my brand new show, Quarter Notes with Amy Nolte, that's exclusively on Nebula. When I was a teenager, one of the things that helped me the very most in my jazz piano journey was discovering Marian McPartland's show. And every Sunday night, I would crouch in a corner with my little radio, the place where I could pick up a signal, and I would listen intently to Marian interview my jazz heroes about their methods and how they make music and how they think about music. And it's always been my dream to get to interview my heroes. But to tell you the truth, until Nebula came along, I didn't have the resources or a team to help me realize this dream. Nebula also has a great team of video production people and sound people. And all I have to do is shoot it right here at my house, send them everything, and they make it for me. And it's so much better than I could make on my own. And my first interview was with Larry Goldings. Larry Goldings! Second interview, which drops very soon, and this has been a secret up until this point, is with Dennis Ham of Thundercat. We had a blast together. And the third interview I just did last weekend. And I can't tell you that one yet, but it's with one of my greatest living jazz heroes of all time. And I get a little choked up thinking about it. Quarter Notes with Amy Nolte is on Nebula under the Classes tab. So if you have Nebula, you see all of my classes, all of my extended cut videos. And the idea is if I put my very best content on Nebula, maybe my followers from YouTube who already know that they like the way that I talk about music and maybe trust me, will click the code in the description of, the videos where I talk about this and this video also, and pay $30 for the entire year to get Nebula and support me. Because as long as I can keep bringing subscribers to the Nebula platform, they'll keep doing these things for me. And it's huge to me because, like I said, I'm making a comfortable living now. So I'm hoping that this video lets you know a few things. One is that I love being a YouTuber. I love this job, and I'm doing fine financially. And I also hope that you've ever wanted to support me outside of just watching my YouTube videos, that you'll consider signing up for Nebula. Nebula is a subscription, so signing up for $30 for the year gets you all of the stuff I've talked about today, but it also will get you the whole Nebula platform, which is beautiful. It's easy to run from your laptop or from your phone or from your smart TV, and you'll see content from every creator that is on Nebula. And Nebula's content is more thoughtful than what you might see on other platforms. And I look at it as a platform where I don't feel like I'm wasting my time. I learn a ton every time I decide to watch a video on Nebula. And Nebula is not just helping me to create classes, they're also helping the other creators on the platform to create classes and originals, much like Jetlag the series from my friend Sam from the Wendover YouTube channel. And the other really healthy thing about Nebula for me is that, well, there are no ads, there are also no comments, there's not a like button, and there is no video view count. So after I put something on Nebula, I can just let it be. I don't have to worry about how many views it gets, and there's no place for me to read comments and have what happens to a lot of my friends from YouTube happen to me, which is that you can get really bogged down in however people choose to react to what you put out there if you read the comments. No comments on Nebula. Now, there is a Nebula subreddit where you can tag me and talk about and ask me if you have any questions about anything on Nebula, and you can always do that, like on my Facebook, if you follow me there too. We have nice discussions about the things that are on Nebula. But to me, it's so much healthier to just put a video out and not worry about anything except that I've made something I'm proud of. YouTube has been a dream for me. You know, I've got 4 kids. I've been staying home with them. The last one is going to graduate from high school next month, and a new chapter of my life is going to start. But while I've had kids at home, it's been something that I can do while they're at school. I can stand here in my house and teach about music, talk about all the things that are super important to me. And YouTube has opened up doors for me that would not have been opened otherwise. I get to travel around the country now, being a guest at jazz festivals, giving clinics and master classes, and judging high school big bands, things like that. Super fun for me. It's also let me have brand partnerships that never would have looked at me if I didn't have a YouTube channel. Teenage Amy in her 20s, never could have imagined that this kind of thing would happen to a stay-at-home mom who is also a jazz musician. And hopefully now, after my kids are all gone and I enter this new chapter, YouTube will open opportunities for me as I start trying to perform in bigger venues and tour. We will see. But like I said, YouTube on its own just wasn't enough. And if Nebula hadn't come my way, I probably would have been one of those YouTubers with the sad face on the thumbnail who has to tell you why they just can't do it anymore. So I've been so fortunate that Nebula has embraced me, and they're the reason, basically, that I'm not leaving YouTube. Thanks to all of you. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time on Amy Nolte Music.